Have you ever wondered why you keep chasing after those who don't reciprocate your interest? Why you insist on begging for scraps of attention from people who clearly don't value your presence? Right now, millions of people around the world are experiencing this silent pain, this agony of feeling invisible to those they most desire to connect with. But what if I told you that one of the wisest masters of literature has long ago taught us how to find the inner strength to break free from this emotional prison? Merlin, initially the gray, later the white, carries in his words an ancient wisdom that transcends the pages of Arthurian legend and manifests as true Stoic teachings capable of completely transforming your relationship with yourself and others. Today, you are not here by chance. You are about to discover 21 profound lessons that will awaken within you an inner strength you may not even know you possess. Each teaching I will share with you is not just a pretty phrase, but a transformative principle that can completely revolutionize your way of seeing relationships, self-worth, and, most importantly, your ability to position yourself in the world with dignity and purpose. By the end of this journey, you will have in your hands the tools necessary to finally break free from the vicious cycle of seeking external validation and discover the true power that resides in your most authentic essence. Prepare yourself for an experience that goes far beyond simple motivational advice. We will delve together into teachings that echo the wisdom of the great Stoic philosophers, but presented through the unique and profound perspective of one of the most revered characters in world literature. Are you ready to stop begging and start radiating your own light? Lesson 6. Wisdom doesn't diminish when shared, but grows. This lesson reveals one of the most beautiful paradoxes of the human experience. The more we authentically and genuinely give of ourselves, the more abundant we become. When you beg for attention, you're operating from a place of scarcity, as if love were a limited resource that needs to be conquered through pleas and sacrifices. Merlin teaches us that true emotional abundance works in the complete opposite way. When you share your wisdom, your kindness, and your inner light without expectation of return, you become a natural magnet for people who vibrate at the same frequency. This doesn't mean giving yourself away in one-sided relationships, but radiating your authentic essence to the world and trusting that this will naturally attract the right connections into your life. The person you are when you're not begging for attention is infinitely more magnetic and attractive than any diminished version of yourself you might present in pursuit of validation. Lesson 7. Even the smallest people can change the course of history. This lesson invites us to completely rethink our perception of our own worth and impact on the world. When you plead for attention from someone who shows no interest, you are subconsciously believing that you are small, insignificant, and need external validation to have worth. Merlin teaches us that each person carries within them a unique and irreversible transformative potential. You don't need to be extraordinary in the eyes of others to be extraordinary on your own journey. Your ability to positively impact the world doesn't depend on how many people admire or desire you, but on how authentically you honor your own values and purposes. When you stop diminishing yourself in pursuit of external approval, you unleash a creative and transformative energy that can literally change not only your life, but also the lives of everyone you cross paths with. You are enough exactly as you are, and that sufficiency is the foundation of all genuine transformation. Lesson 8. Power doesn't reside in dominating others, but in mastering yourself. Here we find one of the most revolutionary teachings about the nature of true personal power. When you beg for someone's attention, you are trying to exert a form of control over another person's feelings and behavior. Merlin teaches us that this is one of the weakest and most destructive ways to try to get what we want. True power resides in your ability to govern your own emotions, reactions, and choices regardless of the behavior of others. When you develop emotional self-mastery, you become invincible on a profound level because your inner peace and self-esteem no longer depend on the fluctuations of others' moods or interest. This is a freedom that few experience, but that is available to anyone willing to take full responsibility for their own emotional experience. Self-mastery is not repression. It is the art of consciously responding to life instead of impulsively reacting to circumstances. Lesson 10. It's not our job to control all the tides of life, but to learn to navigate wisely. This lesson invites us to deeply accept the impermanent and uncontrollable nature of life. When you plead for attention from someone who shows no interest, you're essentially trying to control something completely outside your sphere of influence, another person's feelings and choices. Merlin teaches us that wisdom lies not in trying to control external circumstances, but in developing the ability to navigate with grace and dignity through whatever life throws your way. This doesn't mean passivity or resignation, but a delicate balance between conscious action and serene acceptance. When you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up precious mental and emotional resources that can be redirected to aspects of your life that are truly within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your values, and your choices. This is the essence of serenity, focusing on what you can change and peacefully accepting what you can't. Lesson 11. Patience is the virtue of true warriors. This lesson reveals one of the most misunderstood aspects of genuine inner strength. When you plead for attention, you're operating from a place of desperate urgency, as if your happiness depends on someone else's immediate response. Merlin teaches us that true patience isn't passive waiting, but an active form of trust in your own worth and the natural unfolding of life. True warriors don't despair when battles are prolonged. They remain centered, focused, and confident in their own abilities. When you cultivate this warrior's patience in your relationships, you stop acting from a place of scarcity and begin acting from a place of abundance. This means giving time for connections to develop organically, without forcing or pushing. It means trusting that if something is truly meant for you, it will find a way to manifest without you having to beg for it. True patience is magnetic because it demonstrates a deep trust in your own worth. Lesson 12. What is broken can be rebuilt stronger than before. Here we find one of the most powerful lessons on resilience and personal renewal. When you've experienced rejection or indifference, you may feel as if something fundamental within you has been broken or permanently damaged. Merlin teaches us that these experiences, however painful, are precious opportunities for conscious rebuilding. You don't have to go back to being exactly who you were before. You can choose to become someone even wiser, stronger, and more authentic. Each experience of unrequited attention teaches valuable lessons about your own patterns, needs, and boundaries. When you consciously integrate these lessons, you become significantly better prepared to recognize and cultivate healthy relationships in the future. Conscious rebuilding isn't about hardening your heart, but about developing a resilient flexibility that allows you to remain open to love while keeping your dignity and self-respect intact. Lesson 13. True courage isn't the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. This lesson invites us to completely redefine our understanding of what it means to be courageous in relationships. When you plead for attention from someone who shows no interest, you might think you're being brave by emotionally exposing yourself. Merlin teaches us that there's a crucial difference between courageous vulnerability and desperate exposure. True courage in relationships means being authentic and open, but always maintaining your sense of dignity and self-respect. It means having the courage to walk away when you're not valued, even if it's painful. It means having the courage to be alone until you find someone who genuinely appreciates your presence. Courage isn't never feeling the fear of rejection, it's feeling that fear and choosing to act according to your deepest values anyway. When you operate from this place of authentic courage, you naturally attract people who respect and value your inner strength. Lesson 14. Every journey begins with a single, decisive step. This lesson reminds us that personal transformation doesn't happen through dramatic, instantaneous changes, but through small, conscious decisions made consistently over time. When you decide to stop pleading for someone's attention, you're beginning a journey that may seem daunting in its entirety. Merlin teaches us that you don't have to transform your entire life at once. You just need to make the next conscious decision. This might mean choosing not to send that desperate text, not calling when you feel the urge to plead for attention, or simply taking a deep breath and reminding yourself of your own worth. Each small, conscious choice is a step toward the person you're becoming. The journey of self-discovery and personal empowerment is built through thousands of small moments of conscious choice. Trust the process and celebrate each small victory along the way. Lesson 15. True wisdom comes from experience, not books. This lesson invites us to honor our own experiences as valid and valuable sources of wisdom. When you've been through situations where you pleaded for attention and felt diminished, you might think these experiences are merely failures. Merlin teaches us that every experience, especially the most challenging ones, carries within it precious lessons that can't be learned in any other way. Your unique journey through difficult or one-sided relationships has taught you things about yourself that no self-help book could convey. You've learned about your own patterns, your emotional needs, your boundaries, and your capacity for resilience. These aren't theoretical lessons, they're lived wisdoms that have become integral parts of who you are. When you honor these experiences as teachers instead of viewing them as failures, you integrate a deep wisdom that protects you from repeating the same patterns in the future. Lesson 16. Time heals all wounds, but wisdom prevents them from recurring. Here we find one of the most important distinctions between passive healing and active growth. When you endure the pain of not being reciprocated or valued, time naturally lessens the intensity of that pain. Merlin teaches us that this is only the first step in a deeper process of transformation. True healing happens when you not only overcome the pain, but also extract from it the wisdom needed to make different choices in the future. This means understanding the patterns that led you to crave attention, recognizing the signs of one-sided relationships, and developing the inner strength needed to maintain your dignity in any circumstance. Integrated wisdom acts as an internal navigation system, guiding you towards healthier, more balanced relationships. When you combine the natural healing of time with the conscious wisdom of experience, you become virtually invincible in relationships because you develop the ability to recognize and attract only connections that honor your true essence. Lesson 17. Inner strength doesn't manifest itself by shouting, but in profound silence. This lesson reveals one of the most subtle and powerful aspects of authentic presence. When you crave attention, you're often trying to prove your strength through words, dramatic gestures, or intense emotional displays. Merlin teaches us that true inner strength manifests in the complete opposite way, through a calm, centered presence deeply rooted in your self-worth. Truly powerful people don't need to announce their strength. It's felt by everyone around them through an almost magnetic quality of presence. When you stop trying to prove your worth through desperate words and actions, you allow your natural inner strength to manifest organically and irresistibly. This silent strength is infinitely more attractive and respectable. It arises from the deep acceptance of who you are and the unwavering confidence in your own worth, regardless of the opinions or behaviors of others. Lesson 18. Not all paths lead to the same destination, and that's perfect. This lesson invites us to embrace the uniqueness of our own journey and to stop comparing our path to others. When you crave attention from someone who shows no interest, you're often trying to force a path that simply doesn't exist. Merlin teaches us that each person has a unique destiny and that not all paths are compatible with each other. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or the other person. It simply means you're following different directions on your life journeys. When you accept this reality with grace and dignity, you free yourself from the need to force connections that don't flow naturally. This allows you to redirect your energy to people and situations that are genuinely aligned with your frequency and values. Accepting different paths is one of the highest forms of self-love and respect for others. Lesson 19. True magic happens when you become who you truly are. This lesson reveals the deepest secret of authentic attraction and healthy relationships. When you crave attention, you're essentially trying to become a diminished version of yourself that you believe is more acceptable or desirable. Merlin teaches us that this is not only ineffective, but also a fundamental betrayal of your own essence. True magic, that indefinable quality that makes certain people irresistibly attractive, arises when you have the courage to be completely authentic, even if it means not pleasing everyone. When you stop trying to be who you think others want you to be and start honoring who you truly are, an extraordinary transformation happens. You become magnetic in a way that cannot be manufactured or imitated. People who vibrate at the same frequency are naturally drawn to your authenticity, while those who are not compatible naturally drift away. This is the foundation of all truly fulfilling and lasting relationships. Lesson 20. The greatest treasure isn't at the destination, but in the journey. This lesson invites us to completely rethink our relationship with outcomes and expectations in relationships. When you crave attention from a specific person, you're obsessively focused on a particular destination, gaining that person's love or interest. Merlin teaches us that this fixation on the end result makes us miss the infinite riches available during the journey itself. The journey of self-discovery, personal growth, and developing healthy relationships is where true transformation happens. Each interaction, each experience of rejection or acceptance, each moment of solitude or connection contributes to your growth as a person. When you learn to value the process as much as the outcome, you become able to extract wisdom and growth from any situation. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals or desires in relationships, but rather that you can remain open and present to all the lessons and opportunities that arise along the way. Lesson 21. The end of an era is always the beginning of an even more glorious one. This final lesson offers a completely transformative perspective on transitions and endings in our lives. When you finally stop seeking validation from someone who shows no interest, it can feel like something important is ending. Merlin teaches us that every ending is simultaneously a new beginning, and that often the most painful endings precede the most glorious beginnings. When you free yourself from the need for external validation, you're not just ending a destructive pattern. You're starting a new era of authenticity, self-respect, and genuinely nourishing relationships. This new era will be characterized by connections based on mutual respect, shared growth, and true love. You will attract people who value your presence not because you crave attention, but because you radiate an inner light that is naturally magnetic. The end of your era of emotional neediness marks the beginning of your era of authentic abundance. We've reached the end of this transformative journey together, and I hope you feel the depth of the wisdom we've just explored. Each of these 21 lessons carries within it the potential to completely revolutionize your relationship with yourself and others. But remember, wisdom without application is just useless knowledge. The true power of these lessons will only be revealed when you have the courage to integrate them into your daily life, one conscious choice at a time. You don't need to transform your entire life at once. Start small. The next time you feel the urge to seek validation from someone who shows no interest, take a deep breath and remember your own worth. Choose silence over pleading. Choose dignity over despair. Choose to honor your own journey instead of trying to force a path that doesn't exist. Each small conscious choice is a step toward the magnetic and authentic person you are becoming. From today forward, you have a new perspective on relationships, self-esteem, and true personal power. You understand that seeking validation isn't a sign of deep love, but rather a disconnect from your own worth. You know that true attraction stems from authenticity and self-respect, not from a desperate need for approval. You understand that healthy relationships flow naturally when you become who you truly are, instead of trying to be who you think others want you to be. But this journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's only just beginning. Each day offers new opportunities to practice these lessons, to deepen your understanding of yourself, and to attract increasingly nourishing and balanced relationships. Always remember, you are enough exactly as you are, and that sufficiency is the foundation of all genuine and lasting transformation. If these lessons have touched your heart and awakened something deep within your soul, I invite you to share this wisdom with others who may also be struggling with these issues. Leave a comment sharing which lesson resonated most with you and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your journey of transformation can inspire and help others find their own inner strength. And if you want to continue receiving content that nourishes your soul and expands your consciousness, consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications so you never miss a new lesson of wisdom. The journey of self-discovery and personal empowerment never ends, and I am honored to walk alongside you on this extraordinary adventure of becoming the best version of yourself. May you find within yourself all the strength, wisdom, and love you are seeking in the outer world. The magic has always been within you. Now you know how to access it.